Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and our conversation this morning is centered on the Nigerian economy as a whole, looking at what it's been like since for the second quarter of the year. And basically, we've just ended with the second part of the year. So we're having a review of the second quarter of the year, and I still have here with me the Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Muda Yusuf. Thank you very much for staying back.
Thank you very much.
Right. Before we went on that short break, I told you that we're going to now look at the policy issue. The most recent, we've had quite a good number of them. You talked about the automobile, of course, the recent one, the Bureau de Change.
Yeah.
That has really been making, creating a lot of concerns for those in that market. What do you make of that? Because it's all about trying to manage the foreign exchange market and clean up that market, or don't you think so?
Well, it is part of a kind of house cleaning process to manage the foreign exchange market better. But we see how it unfolds, because that market, because of the arbitrage opportunities that exist, what some people call rent, there's a lot of influence in that space. Political influence, influence of the bureaucrats, and so on and so forth. And that is what you have in any space where there is easy money to be made. And that is why I may not envy Emefiele so much.
Yeah.
Because he's going to meet a lot of resistance in that space. You know, but I think what could happen, well, we see how it goes. Even in the chamber, we are still studying the guidelines. But what we feel is that even in the Bureau de Change, there could be elements of those who want to operate in that sector that may not need to be accessing CBN Forex. There should be that window. That's okay, you want a license, you want to buy and sell within the economy, good luck to you. So we should begin to look at a way in which we gradually even reduce this culture of, selling the CBN funds.
They've been asked to shore up their capital base,
yes.
And the complaint is that, look, it's going to take quite a lot of them out of the market.
Yes. The jump is also very high. I think coming from about
10 million?
Yes.
To 35.
To 35. To do that kind of, and don't forget, you have a lot of small players also in that sector. And if you want to improve, you want to increase or jack up the capital, I think it should have been done in a more grass, so that the shock on the system will not be too much. And again, we need to be clear. If it is a fund that will be deposited with the CBN, will it earn interest? All these issues. The reason I don't lock up, unlike what you have with, say, the capitalization of banks. If you capitalize, the capital is still available for you to do business with. But in terms of some deposits that you keep with the CBN, what happens? So these are details that we need to also be clear about. But it has to be managed in a way that the shock on these players will not be too profound. And talking about policy, one of the major policy issues that came to the fore is the automotive policy.
Yeah.
That is something that has been generating a lot of concern. But our concern about this has to do with the fact that for a policy like this, because it's very fundamental, there has to be proper sequencing. There are some things that need to prelude this policy. For instance, for you to have a sustainable and vibrant automobile sector, you need a very vibrant iron and steel industry. Currently, we don't have a solid iron and steel industry. In fact, we don't even have. The few ones that we have, the main ones that we have that could actually deliver on some of these components are comatose. You have the Ajakuta. We used to have the Delta Steel. We have the Jos rolling mill. We have the Katsina rolling mill. We have Oshogbo Steel. All of these things. Maybe because of the, public sector components in the management of this institution, they are comatose. Then you need a very sound infrastructure. Because you cannot industrialize if you don't have power. Otherwise, what we will find is that, okay, you say you are protecting yourself. You'll be producing at a price that is not competitive. Because the environment now for purpose of production is not so friendly. Then you don't have a very good public transportation system. Because we need to look at the social impact of this kind of policy. But the entire middle class now, you have to struggle to have your own car for you to be sure that you can move easily at ease. But if you are in a situation where you have a functioning public transport system, you have a functioning rail system, I mean, why must you take the trouble to sit in the car for 2-3 hours? These windows are not there. So by the time you now come with a policy that will hike tariffs significantly, it will have a very serious backlash, not just on the transportation costs. It will have a backlash even on the welfare of the people. Because you now put these things beyond the reach of so many people, particularly those in the middle class. And it could also even have political costs. We have to realize that. Yeah.
I want to believe it's just a process.
Yeah.
Like you talked about power. I mean, I believe we'll surely get there. And we can see that the government is really doing quite a lot to, have those things done. And I'm sure by the time we're able to get the power done, every other thing will take place. And then you begin to see perhaps the benefit of all of these things. But we just have to start from somewhere.
You see, the beauty of industrialization is for you to focus on areas in which you have competitive and comparative advantage.
Now, where do you think Nigeria falls in that when you talk about competitive and comparative advantage?
I told you already. See how much we are spending on importation of petroleum products. Billions of dollars annually. We are an oil-producing country. Our refineries are not functioning. Do you know how much jobs you can create with a functioning refinery? Do you know how much byproducts that you can generate from there? Do you know what impact it could have on petrochemical industries, on the plastic industry, on the fertilizer plants, on the chemical industry, on the pharmaceutical farms? Chains of multiplier effects that you can generate from there. We have not addressed that. We are jumping into producing vehicles. This is one easy way in which we can get things moving. We have our agricultural sector. We are blessed with arable land in this country. What we need to do is to see how we can get agricultural sector properly linked to the industrial sector, how we can encourage, agro-allied industries that can be fed into the industrial sector, how we can build linkages. Look at what is happening to cement. Cement, we are making progress because there is competitive advantage in the production of cement. We have the raw materials here. The price of cement could have been much lower if we had an oil and gas sector that is functioning well to supply them with gas. That is an area of competitive advantage. If you look at the food and beverage sector, a lot of components there, a lot of raw materials there are locally sourced. If you go to the breweries, they use a lot of local grains, sorghum and so on. These things have multiplier effects. These are things you should concentrate on. Because if you really want to promote industrialization and allow a policy like this to be sustainable, you have to begin to look at what is the local value addition. Local value addition in the food and beverage sector is very high. That's why they are doing very well even on the stock exchange.
Yeah.
It's part of all the problems that we have. Local content in cement is high. That is why at least we have
the real sector is developing.
Yes, they are doing well.
That they,
but what is the local content in automobile? What is the what? You see, you don't do policies that will, at the end of the day, now make life more difficult for your people. If you decide to ban cement today, of course, I think it's almost as good as banned. We can live with it because we have capacity and we have the potential to grow it. If you say breweries, product, food and beverage sectors, both fruit juice should not come into this country today, we have the capacity to, because we have it is easy to backward integrate. But in this sector, where is the backward integration process? I mean, where are the prospects? You know? So we have to sequence policies so that you don't put your citizens under unnecessary hardship. Policy is about weighing cost and benefit. Yes, we have a few players who said they can manufacture cars. Their capacity relative to demand, we have to look at it. Their capacity relative to even what we need generally in terms of even the jobs that we have to look at it. Their capacity in terms of local value addition, we have to look at it. So we have to look at, we have to be sure exactly the way we pursue industrialization. We pursue industrialization from point of view of competitive advantage.
Well, Mr. Yusuf, we really don't have much time here. Yes. You also mentioned institutional issues. What are the concerns?
Well, the main concerns with regard to institutional issues has to do with the issue of the ports and the cargo clearing.
Yeah.
First, we have experienced an unprecedented traffic gridlock along the Apapa-Oshodi Expressway in the past few months. This is a major problem for the economy, not just for Lagos. Because the Tinkan Island port and the Apapa port accounts for over 70% of the cargo that comes into this country. Now, to access the ports is a very big issue. People who have containers that they need to return to the ports are having a big problem. Sometimes you could spend the whole day, 2 days. If you load your cargo, to get out of the port is a very big problem. The whole place is blocked. Recently, the governor of Lagos State was there and trying to see how he can clean the mess. But it's a federal issue. Because these are some of the negative externalities that the presence of some of these institutions create for Lagos State government. And yet there is no commensurate returns in terms of revenue from these activities. So we need to look at these things very seriously because it's creating a lot of issues for businesses. We need to see what we can do about the tank farms. Those tank farms have to be relocated. There are too many tankers coming to the Apapa, coming to Lagos. We need to see how we can get the rail system to evacuate cargo from the ports.
All right.
We don't have more time. Of course, there are also security issues, which also affected businesses during the quarter.
Yeah. Well, just a quick one. What's the outlook like for the rest of the year? We've entered the second part of the year. What's your outlook like?
Well, we continue to hope that things will be better, as we have been hoping about the macroeconomy. But again, the issue is that as we move closer towards the election, all sorts of variables will begin to come
to manifest.
To manifest in the economic space and the political space. And we're also hoping that some of the reforms in the area of power and the PIB and some of these things, we hope that they will take proper shape within the next quarter. But the political activity is likely to dominate the scene.
Right. Well, it's all about hope, and let's hope that everything turns out well. Nigeria would always succeed. Don't worry. Yes. Well, thank you very much, Muda Yusuf. It's been wonderful speaking with you. I've been speaking with Mr. Muda Yusuf. He's the Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and we've been looking at economic performance in the second quarter. Well, that's it on today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to join us again, same time tomorrow. I'm Chimeze Obi Wawu. Have a beautiful day.